Rockfalls on the British side nearly spelt disaster and set progress back weeks. But now the Brits were catching up again, and the race for the halfway point was back on with a vengeance. But there's more to building a tunnel than high-speed digging. Above ground, a huge round-the-clock operation kept the project fed with vital supplies. And the most crucial ingredient of all, concrete. Each slab weighs as much as a pickup truck. The French and the British together need 750,000 of them to line the tunnel. In Britain, special trains carrying 4,500 tons of slabs, enough to construct 100 average houses, speed back and forth to the coast. But the British team was about to hit another problem. The flat French shoreline provided plenty of room to store slabs close to their tunnel mouth. But 50-metre cliffs on the British side hugely restricted storage space. And as their tunnelling rate increased, space got tighter and tighter. If it ran out altogether, the supply chain would slow, the dig falter, and the mounting overspend could spin out of control. The British TBMs were munching their way through the tunnel, but without slabs to line the roof, they would soon grind to an expensive halt. Luckily, somebody had a brainwave. Every day the TBMs produced up to 36,000 tons of unwanted rock and earth known as spoil. Why not use it to solve the storage problem? The spoil could be deployed to extend Britain's coastline out to sea, providing desperately needed space. It was an audacious plan. 17 million tons of spoil, enough to fill over 2,000 Olympic swimming pools, were dumped into the sea. The storage problem was solved, and Britain grew by 90 acres. That's the area of 68 football pitches. Underground, the moment of truth was approaching as the French and British tunnellers edged ever closer together, towards breakthrough point. The tunnellers were intent on reaching the middle first. The engineers had bigger worries. After 3 years and 37 kilometres of tunnel dug, would the two halves actually meet in the middle? The British reach what they think is the rendezvous point first, but are they anywhere near the French? As a small drill bites through the soil, a current of fresh air wafts through. Air from France. French and British workers race to punch through the last few centimetres of rock that have separated the two nations since the Ice Age. And then, an epoch-making moment.
They're through! They're through! They're through! Hey!
And it's British tunneller Graham Fagg who takes the first step into French territory and into the history books.
To me, it's just fine for a day. I'm just an individual who was part of the team.
To see Graham making that connection and putting his head through the hole and disappearing into France, as it were, for the first time, that was fantastic.
For the first time in 13,000 years, Britain was reconnected to the European landmass. And the surveyors were vindicated. The tunnels didn't just meet, they met a minuscule 35 centimetres off target, the width of a portable TV screen.
No one had ever done it before, over 38 kilometres. From a surveyor's point of view, that is a unique achievement.
The Tunnel Tigers basked in their achievement.
I think it's great. We've getting past halfway, so I suppose in a way we beat the French.
So the British won the tunnelling race. But if the French had got to the RV point first, there would have been a wait while the Brits scrambled to catch up. Here's why. Job done, the TBM's only value was a scrap. But two machines were stuck head-to-head in a monster gridlock. One side's machine had to go. But what do you do with an 1,100-ton TBM that's past its use-by date? Bury it. It was agreed that the British TBM would dive below its French counterpart to be entombed forever, 100 metres below the surface of the channel. As man and machine were parted after 3 years, it was a poignant moment for the Tunnel Tigers.
You see the machines buried and you get a bit of a twinge, you know.
The French TBM was towed to Britain to be scrapped, so the Brits made the first breakthrough, but a French vehicle took the first trip under the channel. Over the following months, the 4 other main tunnels met up in a flurry of breakthroughs. The tunnellers carved out hundreds of linking cross passages every few hundred metres. They drilled out the air pressure shafts. They finished off the crossover caverns. May 1991, the Channel Tunnel was finally dug.
The most important thing is that you can stand behind us and look straight through, and that's it.
For the French too, there was a tremendous sense of the significance of the moment.
It's an historic moment. Napoleon tried to build a tunnel but failed. Now we have one Europe.
But behind the scenes of celebration, there was one group who weren't quite so jubilant, the tunnel's financial backers. The French and British might have dug the world's longest undersea tunnel, but delays saw the budget soar from 1.3 billion to over £2 billion. And the job of building the international transport network serving the tunnel had only just begun. As the tunnellers headed home, another army of workers took over. They would build 2 huge terminals on either side of the channel, lay 195 kilometres of railway track, and to extract the heat generated by high-speed trains, fit a giant cooling system equal to 250,000 domestic fridges. They would also build new trains designed to carry cars, trucks and people through the tunnel. But if the tunnel's investors had any hopes that Phase 2 of the project would come in on time or budget, they were in for a big disappointment. Two years later, overruns had driven the spend higher than ever. The terminals, the track, the trains, they all bust the budget. May the 6th, 1994, the Queen and French President Mitterrand opened the Channel Tunnel. A year late. Delays and interest charges had racked the total cost up to £10 billion, enough to launch 33 space shuttles.
Financial institutions of many countries collaborated to finance this, the biggest privately funded construction project ever undertaken.
But business wasn't booming. At first, the tunnel trains could only take trucks. It was 6 months before the tunnel could handle cars and passengers. A cross-channel trip by ferry from Britain to France takes an hour and a quarter. Using the tunnel slashed the journey to just 35 minutes.